Hey everybody, Michelle here from Gardening TLC. Welcome to week 3 of our gardening series on vegetables and herbs. We are gardening in real time and today is April 22nd. We are 2 weeks in front of our average last frost date here in Northern Illinois, Zone 5. And if you are in a different zone, you can figure out where you're at by typing in your zip code and average last frost date so that you can grow right alongside us. Today we are going to be doing some succession planting, tying up some peas, and planting some vegetables that we haven't planted yet. We're also going to talk about what can I plant in a garden that gets a little bit of shade. So come on today while we do week 3 of our vegetable series. One of the things that I have to pay attention to in early spring when I'm growing in Northern Illinois, and probably where you grow too, are the nighttime temperatures. So over the next week, we have temperatures during the day between 40, 50, and 60. And we have one night where the temperature is going to be 31 degrees. Otherwise, it's in the 40s. Now, 31 degrees is a light frost. Now, I am planting cold, hardy things right now in my garden so they can probably handle a super light frost of 31 degrees. Now, if you have temperatures that are dropping below that, like 28 or below, that's considered a harder frost. You're definitely going to want to get outside and cover any plants that you have going on. So that's one of the things you need to do is pay attention to your temperatures. All right, everybody, we are in week 3. We are going to be doing some succession planting today. And basically what that means is I'm going to plant a lot of the same crops that I planted 2 weeks ago. The reason I do that is so that I can manage my food production and I don't have so many things coming up all at the same time, and I'm growing what I can eat or give away at a comfortable level. Because if I were to plant a whole package of lettuce seeds all at the same time, that's a lot of lettuce. So we scatter them around in the different raised beds. We have completely planted out 4 beds that we did in week 1 and week 2. And I'm going to take you over and I'm going to show you those. They're all growing. They're looking great. Last week we had, oh my God, a barrage of weather. It was rainy. It was cold. We did have one night that was 30 degrees and we had a light frost this morning. I have not covered anything and I didn't have to water this garden at all last week. Now I am going to have to do some watering today because we are going to plant some things up. We are also going to string up our trellis so that I can show you how to tie up the peas so that those will grow up the trellis. And we're going to introduce a new crop today and some herbs that we are going to plant alongside some of the vegetables that we have going that are companion plants and they like each other and they kind of help each other along. So let's go. I am growing peas on this trellis right here. These are the ones that I found at the garage sale. And I just thought that they would do great in the garden and I'm going to grow peas up them. Now I have peas at different stages in the garden. Some I started as seedlings inside and I transplanted them out. Others I'm going to start today by seed direct sow right into the ground. I do this because I want to have peas for a longer period of time and I don't want my peas all at the same time. Now I'm going to grow some of the peas up a trellis like this because you can grow them straight up something like this. I'm also going to grow some of the peas on an A-frame trellis and I'll show you those in just a minute. But as the peas are growing, you got to have something for their little tendrils to cling onto as they grow. That way you can grow them vertical up. There's good airflow that comes through and you can actually harvest the peas a lot easier. I find that growing them up a trellis is the best way to do it. Now, as you can see here, these peas are starting to like really grow along the ground and I need to get them tied up. But see these little tendrils right here? Those are the tendrils that are going to cling onto something as they grow and they just kind of wrap around. They have a little bit of like a sticky thing on their tendril, but they curl around whatever they're growing on and then they'll grow up. Now to get them going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie them up right here with a little twist tie, and then I'm going to string my twine on here. And once I put the initial one on here, they'll continue to grow as long as they've got something to grab onto. But the first one, I just help it out by tying it up just like this. So let's do that next. So I just have some twine here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to attach it to my trellis, and I'm going to tie a square knot on here, which is right over left and then left over right. That way the knot won't come undone. And then I'm just going to weave this around my trellis from the bottom to the top, and that way the peas have something to grab onto, because even though this is a pretty trellis, the spacing of all of the decorative pieces on here are just too far apart for my peas to grab onto. So I'm just going to use this twine and solve my problem. But as you can see here, I didn't do anything fancy. This is an artwork. This is just so that my peas will climb. You can see I've got them all tied up. Some of them I ran in between the string because I ran the string on both sides. So you can see where I tucked it up in there and I didn't have to tie it up at all. So all of these are now going to grow up this. I don't really have to do a whole lot to it now because now they'll just grow because this is ready to go. All right, the other thing I'm going to show you is where my leafy greens are at. And as you can see here, this is the first bed that we did with the leafy greens. And you can see how they're all coming up. This is just different lettuces here. We've got our radishes here. And next week I'll show you how to thin those out. That's our big bunch of thyme. And then as you come down here, so you can see the spinach. And some things take longer than other things to actually get going. And so you can see here, these are the carrots. And see, they are super tiny. They haven't even really come up yet. So different things will germinate at different rates. But you can see here, this bed's coming along just nice. Nice, nice, nice. This is the second bed that we did. This one is full of onions. And you can see here, the onions are starting to come up. Can you see them? So they're all coming up there. Our lettuce is right down here. Doesn't look like it's doing anything. It probably just rooted in over the last week. This is the A-frame trellis that I was telling you about. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to run some extra twine so that these have something to grab onto and then just get these going in between the twine. You can see here that these are starting to come up and we'll have to thin these next week as well. These are all turnips. There's 2 rows of the turnips. Our little cabbages are a lot bigger. They've been in here for 2 weeks. These are the little Napa baby jade cabbage. And then even our broccolini got bigger. So that's there. So that's this bed here. Okay, that one's doing very well. Let's go look at the third one. This was the third bed, and this is the one where we just tied the peas up. But on this end, we have beets starting, and you can see them. Oh, let me get my shadow out of the way. You can actually see the little beets, see them starting to come up there. And so we'll have to thin those out as well. We've got some broccoli right here. And then we have our Paris Island romaine lettuce, our celery, and then our kohlrabi. And then on the other side, we have some more onions going. And these were the red onions. And you can see those are starting to come up too. It's so exciting to see the little vegetables come up. Okay, so that's these 2 beds here back to back, okay? And then we did that bed there. That one we're not gardening in. All right, and then we're gonna swing around to the third bed here. And this is the one where we had 1 extra row left and we are actually gonna be planting some cauliflower in here. So again, we have some lettuce, some cabbage, 2 rows of broccoli, more peas that we need to string up along the trellis so it's got something to grab onto. And then we've got our Brussels sprouts right here. Those are doing really good. And then some more baby jade cabbage. All right, so there's our third bed. Or no, fourth bed. So those are the ones that we had gotten done the first 2 weeks. We're gonna plant this cauliflower up real fast, and then we're gonna move on to the next beds. So there's our little cauliflower. These are white. These are called Snow Crown. And these are going to take 50 days to maturity. They say 18 inches apart. But again, I usually can get 4 of these together in here and they go just fine. This is a 4-foot wide bed and I have no problem with that. And then don't forget, they're 12 feet long. I have a bed right here that gets partial shade, and there are things that you can grow in that 4 to 6 hour window. Leafy vegetables like lettuce, spinach, endive, kale, some of those leafy greens that you get. Also, small-headed cabbages like that Napa jade cabbage, that little baby one, that would do well in here. And then there's also herbs that you can grow in partial shade like cilantro, basil, dill. They all like that relief from that hot afternoon sun, and a partial shade bed is perfect for that. Now, if you have less than 4 hours of sun, you better find yourself a farmer's market or a produce stand to get your vegetables because you're not going to have good luck with that kind of sunlight. Now, this one here, we are going to do a repeat of some of the leafy greens that we planted in the other bed in week 1. And this is where I'm going to do my second succession planting of those leafy vegetables and the lettuces and the spinaches and things like that. So We got all the weeds out of it the last time that we were here. I am going to be putting fertilizer down when I'm done, and then I'm going to water the whole thing in. Now, I do have another trellis set up here because I know that this end of the bed gets the most sun, and I'm going to be planting cucumbers up it later. Now, underneath it for right now, I'm planting a really fast growing crop, and that is radishes. I've repeated the 3 radishes that we have down on the other end down here as well. So I planted the pink lady slippers. I also planted the royal purple and then the cherry bells. The cherry bells are the fastest, about 22 days. These are between 32 and 35 days. Now, what does that mean? That's not from the time you put the seed in the ground. That's actually, it comes to maturity where you can pick it from the time the little germination happens and you get your little baby plants. That's how long it's going to take for you to get a vegetable from it. All right, starting down at the end, we did do 3 rows of carrots. We did the Nantes, and then we also did our rainbow carrots. So those are down at the end. We also planted some more arugula, some more rainbow Swiss chard. We also planted some more spinach. We're planting the gangbusters. I did plant some more of that flashy trout back cutting lettuce. I can't wait to see this one come up. And then we planted some red salad bowl and some green salad bowl. So we have all of these as our succession planting 2 weeks later from the first ones. Now down here I have 3 little dill plants that I'm going to put in, and I haven't put them in the ground yet. But the reason I'm putting dill in this bed is dill is a great companion plant for cucumbers and lettuce. So I know I'm going to be planting these cucumbers up this trellis, and I know that I'm going to have lettuce right here. So it's a great companion plant. It's a good time to put the dill in. Make sure you harden it off before you plant any of your transplants. You have to keep doing that, which basically means you got to take them in and out 2 to 3 hours every single day. Lengthen that time. Put them out in a protected area before you plant them out. Do that for about 3 days. All right, let's get these in the ground. All right, the second bed that we planted was, we did do some Oregon peas right here. We are doing these from seed. They went in today. They're probably a month behind the other ones, which is really good because that way I extend my growing season. Underneath that, I put some cilantro, and I'm using this trellis when the peas grow to create shade for my cilantro because it doesn't like the heat of the summer, and I'm hoping to also extend my growing on the cilantro. I also have put in 4 more rows of beets. I'm going to do the golden beet. I have a mixed one, a Detroit red, and an early wonder. Now, I'm going to try to do these gold ones. Last year I tried them and I couldn't get anything to germinate. So we're going to try again one more time this year and see if they come up. I also did 1 more row of turnips, which is right here. And then look, 4 or 8 more broccoli, because I do grow a lot of broccoli. Now, the other one that I've never grown before is endive. I'm trying it from seed. I don't know if it'll come up, but I put it right here. And then later down the road, I will put a tomato here. But this bed basically is full as well. So now we are up to 5 beds that are completely full. All right, and then I have started 1 more bed. I put these hoops on last year. It was an attempt to extend my growing season. In the fall, I never got around to using them, but maybe we'll use them this year. Now, I did put 2 tomato cages in here because I am going to be planting tomatoes. And in anticipation of those tomatoes, I'm going to be planting some parsley. So down here, I have some Italian leaf parsley and some curly parsley. These are great companion plants for tomatoes. Now, I also planted 3 more cauliflower. Now, these cauliflower, I love these. I planted these last year. They're purple. Aren't they cool? So this is the purple cauliflower, and they really do come in purple. So I'm going to plant 3 this week, and then I'll probably wait 2 weeks and plant 3 more because those were cool. And my grandkids loved the purple cauliflower. This is the fertilizer that I like to use. It's by Fertilome. It's a gardener special. It's an 11-15-11, and I just sprinkle it throughout the garden. Now, you can also till this in if you're doing a new garden. I just sprinkle it along the top because all of my beds have been thoroughly composted. So let's fertilize. If I had to say how much fertilizer I just put down, I would say that it was probably a cup per bed, and those are 4x12, so that's 48 square feet. There you go. All right, that's all the planting that we're gonna do today. We've done 2 different sessions of succession planting of our leafy greens, our root vegetables. We've got our broccoli, our cauliflower. All of our cool season vegetables are pretty much in. I might plant a few more broccolis and a few more cauliflowers, but for the most part, they are all in and we're ready to move on to other things. I will continue to water the garden every single day if it's not raining to make sure that I keep my seeds wet so that they germinate. As my plants get bigger, I'm going to water a little longer and deeper versus shallow. Next week, we'll thin out some of the vegetables that we are growing so that you can see how to do that. I also have a really fun mailbox project that we're going to do to store all your tools in. I hope to get the cattle, hopefully the cattle panels will be delivered by the time we get to next week and we can put those up. And we are also going to plant strawberries next week, so stay tuned for all of that. Remember, you can garden in your own area. It's not too late. Even if you miss all of the cool season planting, there are still plenty of things to plant as we get into the warmer temperatures. Stay tuned next week as we do all of the things that I just talked about. Get out in your garden today, you guys. It is gorgeous outside. I'm Michelle. We'll see you next Monday. Bye, everybody.